Hello and welcome to the Trade Game channel. This is Daniel. It's it's very early in the morning, February 3rd. Um, I'm just going to do a quick market update on kind of all of our projects and stuff. Bitcoin is, Bitcoin has had a really, has continued its downwards correction. And so we're going to check and kind of see what's going on with our other currencies, with our other bots, and hopefully we didn't get into too much trouble with anything. So Bitcoin has had a correction down. So has Solana. Fortunately, it looks like we've also had a kind of a bounce back up for Solana, kind of like Bitcoin. Ethereum, we never really entered into anything with Ethereum, I don't think. So it's Ethereum is completely broken out to the downside of its channel. Come down and it looks like it touched this line of support that we had previously identified, just barely touched it, and is now coming back up. So depending on what's happening with Bitcoin now we may be in a position now to actually start really talking about seriously starting some longs on some of these currencies. Our XRP bots, we had a big sweep down. Same thing with XRP. Breaking the downside, but also finding quite a lot of support going up. So that's interesting. We kind of went down and touched in this fair value gap area that we had identified before. So that's officially mitigated now. So it's sort of interesting. But we may see recovery, or we may see this continue to range down for a little while on XRP. So yeah, we're really seeing some hurt now in these altcoins, which we were already seeing. Like as Bitcoin was in its ranging, sort of doing this ranging pattern the last few days, altcoins were really hurting quite a bit. And they're definitely going to be at max pain levels sort of now. Okay, so let's see, our ADA bots are going here. Looks like our ADA bot got liquidated, so so that is going to be closed out. That was unsuccessful for us. And this is one of the problems with starting some of these bots with this really big high grid like this, is that and having a higher leverage as well, probably more significantly. So this one did not have enough time to really do arbitrage and build up enough profits to secure itself against liquidation. So there are some valuable lessons to be learned here for us. For one thing, don't need to set the grid nearly that high. And also, we need to be generally more careful as to when we start these long grids, and what kind of leverage we start them with. So we did not. Let's see. We had said for ADA that we might propose a long if it got up to a certain point. And let's see if we would have, So we would not have entered the long that I marked out before. That was a situation where I was saying, I think that the candles were sort of down in this area. I was saying if it does recover and get back above this area, then we could enter a long. But it looks like it did not. We had a big fall down. And then we're starting to retrace back up a little bit now and fill in that liquidity. So once Cardano and some of the other things fill in and fill in some of the gaps created by this big move downwards, then we can see, you can start to talk about what direction they might take afterwards. So this is a bummer. Lost a little money there on this trade, but that's or on this bot rather. But that's all right. This is why you don't enter into large. You don't commit too much of your money to this sort of thing if you're careful. So we may be looking soon to start a new bot on ADA, and we'd be starting it with a much narrower price area, probably more like probably just kind of going up to, like, say, the top of this wedge would probably be fine. And then we would be extending our grid, if we're going to start one, down to like the bottom of this area where we found support before. Something along those lines would be much more reasonable for an 8 times leveraged bot on ADA. But if we want to do that sort of thing, I want to see what actually happens, because it may come up and satisfy its liquidity, this inefficiency created by this sudden move, and then go down and test support again. In fact, it wouldn't really terribly surprise me if it did come down and test this level of support that it's set right here. So that being the case, we would wait to try and start this again. That's unfortunate. I think ADA, I think I was just talking about potentially closing it to try and remake it with a different grid not too long ago. It was like over this area, but oh well. So let's see what other things that we have going on. So our Solana bot is no longer trading. This is one of the 5 times bots, and as I've pointed out, 5 times bots are kind of, it's a lower leverage compared to some of these other things, but if you're going to try to hold these for long periods of time and hold through long dips, having a lower leverage for your bot can potentially be quite good. I'm very concerned that, like, say, my ApeCoin bot might have just gotten completely liquidated. But we'll have to see. So let's see. Oh, we already looked at XRP. ADA, Dogecoin. Oh yeah, that's right. So let's see. So my Dogecoin bot that had its very small $5 Dogecoin bot would have been liquidated. And it looks like my 5 times bot might have be in danger of liquidation as well. This is very interesting. Okay, so we lost one of our guys, but he was a small one, so we're not too terribly concerned about that, really. Let's delete the grid for that. Yeah, sure. So what this means for Dogecoin, though, is I'm not really sure what on earth caused this sudden dip. Maybe something happened in the news. Dogecoin has gone to it has had a chance to explore this fair value gap now entirely. So there's no really much point in talking about that anymore. Using it in our trading. So we can kind of get rid of that. So what we have done with Dogecoin now is set another lower low. And we've found some support right around this level. Whereas you see we had price history before. So Dogecoin has explored, done price exploration in its gap now. And there's really no particular reason why this shouldn't recover, in my opinion. Now, that doesn't mean that it's not due for a retest. That doesn't mean that this was a long position that we had speculatively said we maybe could enter, but price didn't come up and touch the trigger that we would have had to have set. So we would have not entered that trade, and that's fine. It's a good thing. As the market had a downturn instead of an upturn. But we may start another bot soon. And we may perhaps set the grid down to this area of support that it just demonstrated to us. And I'm going to be setting my grid up to somewhere a little bit higher, but not as high as I had set some of these other grids for Dogecoin. I think I overextended how far I really should have been setting this grid for this thing. I think something like this would be totally fine, especially if I was going to open up a higher leverage Dogecoin bot, which is kind of more what I'm thinking of doing with some of these, opening more like a 10 times leverage one, and just not holding it for quite as long as I might hold like a 5 times leveraged bot. Although we do, in the context of these 5 times leveraged guys, have that doesn't mean that it's not worth having a kind of a wider grid, lower leverage sort of thing going on. But let's see. Okay. So this reduces the number of bots I have going, at least, to a more manageable number. Oh, wait. Did this one get liquidated? Oh, no. Oh, looks like my all of my Dogecoin bots got liquidated. Apparently this failed as well. Oh, well. So that is what it is. All right. So I don't necessarily know what step I'm going to take next when it comes to this. I do think that now that Bitcoin has kind of gotten down to a level closer to where I would expect it to start bouncing, although, the thing with this is that I have been saying Bitcoin might come down and explore these value gaps. It's possible that it might. There's an awful lot of volatility in cryptocurrency, and you just never quite know what's going to happen, which is one reason we may possibly want to speculatively just start opening 5 times bots exclusively and just knock it out with the higher leverage, and just make sure to set more reasonable grids in terms of being able to hold these for longer periods of time. That may prove to be more useful to us. Okay, that's great. Can we just move this guy out? Yeah, all right. Oh, where's the line? Here we go. Okay, so BNB has also had a big dip. I'm price. So a bunch of these guys have broken out of their wedges to the downside. This is what happens when Bitcoin takes a dive in price, and this is one of the things that I've always kind of warned people about, and say this is why you keep an eye on Bitcoin, and you want to sort of have an idea what it's doing, because the other coins in the market will tend to do what Bitcoin does. So we may start another new grid on BNB here soon, but it won't be nearly as wide as the previous one I had set. It'll probably be more like this. We'll just sort of be doing the grid up to kind of the top of this channel that I've marked out that I think it's been trading in. And we could use this recent area of support set as the bottom of the grid. BNB, if it had, see, October, November, yeah, it had to move up in November. It certainly came down and tested some support levels here recently. And we'll have to see where this goes. I have, upon noticing the sudden downturn of the market, bought in quite a bit in spot with like actual larger amounts of my actual money. This is all play money. When you do day trading stuff, you don't use your main investment money for this. This is always more of a project or a hobby. At least that's how I recommend it to people. Yeah. So we've still got our 5 times spot on going on BNB. It would not have gotten liquidated. Looks like a few more of these got liquidated than I would have expected, and this is one of the things with using an exchange like the one that I'm currently using that isn't really a grid trading per se exchange, but they just offer it as one of their things that they offer. They don't necessarily have the same rules or abilities of their bots as I would like. It's a bit of a shame that I can't get on Pionex and do leverage trading with their grids over there. But in any event, so I might start a new bot on BNB soon with new settings. Probably something like this, but I'm not likely to start anything just yet, although I'm certainly getting real close to. As Bitcoin, if Bitcoin will find a bottom somewhere, that will be a time to start doing longs. We're getting really close to that point where it's worth it to start opening positions, I think. I'm very bummed that my Dogecoin bot got liquidated. That guy was doing rather well before, but that happens sometimes. Let's see if my ApeCoin bot survived, or if that also was a wash. Yeah. Oh, it blasted way down through its liquidation price. Oh, gosh. Well, that's too bad. So, that was also a wash. Okay. Well, darn. So, professional curiosity aside, yeah, and I had set up, let's see, I had speculatively put out a log on this one. Let's see what, nope, that would not have hit. We would not have gotten caught in this downturn with this speculative long that I placed, which is how that goes sometimes. All right. So, it's kind of a similar situation in the ways is I don't know about necessarily starting these higher leverage grid bots anymore. It's depending on how much time I actually have to watch these. The trouble with doing this with leverage is that you do have to, as I said before, be able to hold through these really big dips, and in order to avoid issues with the bots getting liquidated. And so going up to higher leverages, you really do have to sort of you open the bot and then close it pretty quickly. It does not seem that, despite building up quite a bit of margin, these necessarily will be able to actually secure themselves successfully against liquidation enough for it to be worth them to hold super long times when they have higher leverage. You kind of want to get in and then get out much more like you were doing a swing or a scalp trade. Um, so um, we may restart our ApeCoin bot, but it likely will be with much different settings. Probably much closer to this sort of a range. And perhaps with 5 times leverage instead of with the higher. This was a 25 times leverage bot. And so, yeah. And as a reminder, I do this type of futures grid trading, but I also do grid trading in spot, and that's where I actually invest most of my money because when you grid trade in spot, if your bot goes down below its grid, then nothing happens. It just stops trading. You don't have to worry about liquidation. It's not a big deal at all. Um, with these, you actually, if the bot goes down below its grid or if the price moves against the direction you have the bot trading, you can actually lose your money altogether, which is what happened to a few of these bots here. And so it's not, it can be rather tricky to do this, a little bit more risky to do this. However, with 5 times leverages, some of these bots are, and in particular, if I were to say do 3 times leverage, um, which I may indeed start doing actually, uh, the liquidation values are pretty reasonable that the exchanges set, and so you can have a reasonable amount of price of security against liquidation, provided you just don't use a whole bunch of like very high leverage. You leave a lot of your own cash in the bot to secure it against liquidation, but you can still multiply the amount of money that you're using to put in the bot to do the grid trading by say 3 times with leverage without really having a whole lot of risk of that happening. So anyway, I may be opening some long bots here in the future, but it looks like the market did indeed correct downwards, which is not terribly surprising to me, honestly, although I had hoped some of these would hold up a bit better than they did. But I also really didn't necessarily anticipate that Bitcoin was going to dump quite as fast as it did. However, is something that happens with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency more generally. So we'll just have to kind of see. All right. Well, so this has been the Trade Game channel. My name is Daniel. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. It helps grow our community. God be with you. Please be good to one another, and I will talk to you later.